It's the blue eyes for me. It's the Ferrari for me. No. It's the Super Kicks t-shirt for me. Yes, guys, I'm back with some more Super Kicks related stuff. Everyone knows that I love Super Kicks, and I only kind of tackle things and put this sounds very egotistical of me, but put my name on things that I truly love. Super Kicks is one of those things. We know the people behind Super Kicks, and we know they're constantly trying to create new things and new designs, and as you see on the screen right now, a brand new kind of redesigned, easier to navigate website. And there's some stuff on sale, like some sweatshirts and all of that kind of stuff. Of course, you know, if you use the code Josh00, you can get free shipping. You just got to go to superkicks.com. That's SPRKIX.com. You get some free shipping, site-wide, completely anywhere in the world. If you want to get some stuff like some sweatshirts or a cool gold shirt, or just, you know, what I like to call the traditional Super Kick shirt, that one you see on the screen right now. All different kinds of stuff, some hoodies and some beanies and some different kinds of wrestler designs and podcasters and all this kind of cool stuff. I love Super Kicks. I'm going to keep talking about Super Kicks because I'm very passionate about things that I put my name against, and this is one of those things. It's like, okay, you like me, maybe you'll love Super Kicks. You'll find something you love, feel confident, feel fresh, feel trendy, kind of everything. It just kind of fits with anything. I'm a believer in, to feel confident, you have to look confident. And this is the kind of stuff I feel confident in. It makes me feel confident that I can take on the world. Feel like I get in with today's society. All that kind of cool stuff. So if you go to superkicks.com, that's SPRKIX.com, enter the code Josh00, you get yourself some free shipping. Grab something you love, I know you will, and then people will be saying, it's the Super Kicks t-shirt for me. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Are We Recording Yet? With the one and only me. Never mind. I know this is the first time that you're seeing me on this show with glasses. Please don't yell at me. I am very self-conscious about them. No, not really. But, you know, it is what it is. And we're in this new kind of space, which you're going to kind of float in and out of with the way that I record these and the way that I kind of release these. So, you know, it is what it is. But don't mind me. I didn't turn off my noises from my phone. But it's been a time this year, and I know everyone's kind of, we talk about this a lot within the show, and we talk about this a lot just in life with how this year has been, and while we're closing out the year and going into 2021, I just hope everyone is well aware that, you know, life just doesn't ultimately change at the end of 2021. I think a lot of people are expecting just like this year to be over and then this pandemic to be over and the world to be back to kind of normal. And I just don't think that's going to be the case for a long time. This is the kind of normal now, is just this kind of stuff. So, you know, I hope everyone is staying safe, staying well, and all of that kind of stuff. I have a really cool chat today with MAGS. It does get really deep, and I don't know why, but MAGS nearly does break me in this episode. So I won't waste too much more of your time. I just wanted to, of course, say that if you want to follow me on any social media, it's at JoshRobinson00, pretty much across the board with a few exceptions, but all my links in the description below. I'll leave Mags's links in the description below as well to his Twitter, so you can go and follow him if you want. If you're following me, you'll probably be following Mags. So we've had many chats before, and this chat is just really, it gets quite intense. So just warning you guys that it does get pretty deep in this episode. Which I didn't really expect it to go, but that's the kind of beauty of this show. You don't really know where conversations are going to go. I thought it was going to be a complete bickering episode, which we do all the time. Me and Mags have a very friendly banter against one another. So obviously it goes there as well, but it does get really quite intense, and he kind of flips some stuff on me. So just letting you know. So please, everybody, enjoy this chat and really, really watch, or if you're listening, whatever, just listen to what we're saying, because there is some really intense, powerful stuff in here. Not to be dramatic, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed this chat with the one and only Mags. Oh, well, guys, everybody, you heard in my intro who I'm talking to today. Mags.
Hello.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
And thanks for having me, and that's the end of the episode, guys.
See you later, everyone. No, I'm talking to Mags. Mags is annoyed at me, but it's fine because the only reason I'm recording him so late in the list is because I get to record at a normal time. I don't have to get up early. I don't have to do anything silly. Mags is at my prime time. So, that's why.
I'm not mad, Josh. I'm just
Don't you say it.
disappointed.
Oh, what the hell? What the hell? I mean,
I'm not. It's an absolute
I'm not. I
pleasure
didn't
that
even want to be here.
Yeah. Fuck y'all. I'm gone.
It is one and only Mags. I mean, Mags. We were chatting for a little while on our prediction streams. I kind of am taking a back seat with that because I'm watching less and less wrestling. But we might get back to that one day. But that was the only time we really chatted since. I mean, we weren't really doing anything on a regular basis anyway. But it is what it is. I'm always excited to talk to you because you're one of these people that kind of tick my brain to be like, this could be a format for a show. Is just kind of chatting and seeing what happens. I guess. I don't know.
It's weird. We're from like two full-on separate generations, and we've clicked together so well. We both really get each other's like sense of humor. We both know how far we can kind of push each other in terms of like ribbing and stuff like that. And there's never any malice. Yeah, it's always a fun time chatting with you. And by the way, yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. That was
I didn't care anyway, so that's all right.
Wow, you
that's
bitch.
why I didn't ask because I didn't care. I thought you would have kind of got that from me. But yes, we do have a very self-deprecating kind of humor. I think that's kind of just instilled in a lot of English and Australian cultures. At least I grew up in a family that was all very much this similar humor. Is very self-deprecating and very just like, it's kind of, I don't know. I know this is going to sound really, really bad, but it's almost like sarcastic bullying.
Yeah, I mean, from an outsider, it probably looks like we detest each other or we really tolerate each other. But no, there's a lot of love and respect from both sides. It's just the way British and Australian people kind of show that love. It's a case of, I can give Josh all the grief in the world and I know he'll give me back. But if anyone else gives it him, I'll be there to drag him.
It's just going down. It's going fucking down. That's how it's going. But in all seriousness, easy for me to say, I guess. How is things? How is life? Are you at time of recording, folks? Are you in a lockdown at the moment?
Full on 100% lockdown until the beginning of December. It's looking likely that that's going to either be extended or we're going to be placed back into a tier system, which really didn't work in the first place. But it's highly likely we're going to have a Christmas in some form of lockdown or another, which is, it's kind of disappointing for me because, as you know, I've got 3 grandkids now. All kind of like buses all came around the same time, and this will be the second Christmas that we've had with the 2 eldest ones, and the first Christmas with the youngest one. And it's going to be hard not being able to have the whole family around. So me and the wife have gone all out and kind of like spoiled them this year in terms of gifts and stuff like that. I mean, it's what Christmas is about. I've never been a huge fan of Christmas. You've known that. We've had conversations about it before.
Where I'm the opposite because I love Christmas.
And it's for me, it's always Christmas is about celebrating time with your family and kids, and it's them who get excited, and I get excited for them rather than get excited about it for myself.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I have a younger brother. He's 11. He's my half brother. So he's my half brother. So like I can get confused with age, but I kind of am almost in a sense like living Christmas vicariously through him, like watching him open presents and like, Santa Claus and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, you can kind of remember being that age and being like, going to sleep on Christmas Eve and being like, what's Santa going to bring me and all this kind of stuff. So, Christmas is a very much a time, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing it's more about like seeing your family and spending time with all the people you love that you don't get to see all year, basically. But it is going to be a weird Christmas. It's definitely going to be some form of COVID restriction Christmas for us. I mean, I mean, not to brag, but we had a 3-day lockdown. But you probably heard about what
Three
happened.
whole days.
So this will come out in a few weeks' time, but at time of recording, we're 1 day out of lockdown. We're meant to be in this kind of week period, and then they were going to extend it if they needed to, because there was I say COVID outbreak, but for a lot of the world, a COVID outbreak is probably hundreds of cases. It was 17 cases, but we had no community transmission of COVID for months and months and months. And then we had this little outbreak, and, long story short, we went into a lockdown. Someone lied about where they were, and it didn't end up actually being in the community. It was all in this little cluster. Everyone was quarantined, and then we came out of lockdown. We've still got restrictions and stuff, but we had like the harshest lockdown system in the world. Apparently, we weren't even allowed to go outdoors for exercise. We had to stay in the house. My sister lives across the road from me, and I wasn't allowed to go see her. She wasn't allowed to come to my house. There was none of that. So yeah, we were literally in our houses unless we were essential workers. Of course, we went to work. But like takeaway was closed. Like all delivery of food was closed. Like we didn't have that the first time round. So it was 3 days, but it felt like an eternity, I guess, because you're just trapped. I couldn't imagine like being on a lockdown for weeks and weeks on end. It would kind of really take a toll on you. Like mentally, you could be like, oh my God, I'm stuck in my house and I can't go anywhere unless it's for essential reasons. Like that would take a toll on you. I don't know how you could.
It absolutely does, and it makes it more more hard work to deal with when the rules keep changing. And I understand that we're kind of in new territory with this pandemic, and it's something that we've never gone through as a society before, and everybody's kind of learning at the same time.
Yeah.
But countries like Australia, countries like New Zealand have all knuckled down and dealt with it, and kind of like you said, you're getting these localized little outbreaks, which compared to us that's a drop in the ocean. We're getting each area in Britain is getting hundreds of outbreaks a day. But the thing is, it's the rules that they put in place change from week to week to week. 1 week you're allowed to mingle in groups of 6. Next week you're allowed to mingle in groups of 12, and you can go to the pub till 10 o'clock because COVID doesn't start work until after 10. It just gets so convoluted that it gets people frustrated, and they don't want to follow the rules because they're feeling that their life is being took away from them. The 1 minute they lock down, next minute they're not allowed, and there's no structure. And that helps the virus because people are breaking the rules, spreading the virus. Then it's a case of, well, if the lockdown is wrong, do I need to be wearing masks? Do I need to be sanitizing my hands? And all that kind of feed into it. Then you get social media feeding all these kind of like rumors and
conspiracies.
Conspiracies, yeah, exactly. And it all boils down to people just not sticking to the rules, and it makes the virus just spread like wildfire.
Yeah, it's I feel very fortunate to be in the country that I do with COVID at the moment, because my government, why not everyone's agreeing with lockdown and stuff like that, the government is quick acting. Like, so for context, everybody, our COVID outbreak happened on at time of recording last Sunday afternoon. We had 4 cases. It all started in hotel quarantine because they weren't testing the security guards, so they were allowed to go freely to their home. Someone had it, they gave it to their family, they went on a bus, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so it 4 cases on the Sunday evening or afternoon. By Monday we had new restrictions in place. By Tuesday night they announced a lockdown that would take place, that would go into effect on the Wednesday, and we're in lockdown for 3 days and blah blah blah. And the government kind of reacted pretty swiftly, and he said we won't stay in lockdown 1 day than we need to be, 1 day longer than we need to be. But he also did say that if this happens again, we'll be straight back into lockdown. But they were trying to contain it from that 17. We had, I think our peak was 21 cases in this week where we've had an outbreak of COVID, because we've seen what happened in other parts of Australia, and like where Melbourne is in the state of Victoria, they were getting hundreds of cases a day, but the rest of the country was shut off to that state. No one could come in or out. So they kind of, I know it sounds kind of harsh to be like, you can't go to this part of the country that you live in, but also like they were shutting borders. You were stuck in your state for good reason. And then they got on top of it. And now the state of Victoria is allowed to roam freely in that state without masks because they're not getting any community transmission of COVID. So, you know, like it's weird how it works from country to country, because of course we see America and the just lack of care that goes in from that side of things to contain COVID. And it's like hundreds of thousands of cases they've been in. Like that to me, I'm like, oh my God, we had 17 and we're in lockdown. How are you not? I guess you learn from experience, I guess, but like, I can't get that in my brain. Even the UK, I mean, it's not as bad as the States is, but the UK even has been pretty crazy when it comes to, and this isn't like gloating, saying like, I'm just saying like there is New Zealand, for example, did it way better than us. They happened and their prime minister got straight on top of it. And I don't believe they've had COVID in months, or it might be from hotel quarantine. Like they don't have any community transmission of COVID. They've done it the best out of the whole world, from my understanding anyway.
Yeah, the only outbreak that New Zealand had was from a Brit travelling in who didn't quarantine for 2 weeks.
See, you guys just, I mean, you bring down my show, you bring COVID into other countries. What are you good for? Really? No.
Yeah, not a lot. Absolutely not a lot.
Nah, you guys are great. I love British people. Not you, just to clarify, but other British people, but not you. But anyway, glad we got that under the way. Glad I just wanted to clear that up. I didn't want you getting any kind of mixed signals or anything like that, but you know, just thought I'd clear that up. You see what I mean? We're full circle here. Go back to the start of this. That's the kind of humor we have on Twitter. And I'm sure that people that have commented on our threads, you know, when we go on one of those threads and we just, you know what I'm talking about, Mags. When we
rib each other, yeah.
And I swear people have like looked at that and been like, oh fuck, why don't they just stop following each other? You know what I mean? Like it's just so bad.
It's been like that from pretty much day one, though. I mean,
from my memory,
going back to the first time we ever really recorded together on the episode with Wilf, we've clicked. I felt that we clicked straight away, and then obviously we did each other's shows, and the friendship just like blossomed from then. And then getting involved with Brainbuster and being able to work with you on a regular basis. And then even after that's collapsed, we've stayed really, really tight. I mean, I know the group has kind of like gone its own way in terms of content and it's like fractured away. But we're still a very tight unit. And whilst we don't probably talk as regularly as we did, we're doing the WWE prediction stuff, which I really enjoyed. And I like the way you informed me that was stopping. Oh no, wait, you absolutely did not inform me that was stopping at all.
You got the gist from where I am. But to be completely honest, we're recording this on Survivor Series day. At least for me, it was on this morning. And I watched it, and I've been pretty open to the fact that I'm having trouble stepping away from wrestling because it's such a sense of comfort for me. And stepping away from it has made me realize, going like, oh my God, it actually is it's just a sense of like, I guess it's just, other than like being comfortable with it, it's a sense of like kind of escaping for a little bit. And while there is still, and I think it's still very morally just a shitstorm, and I don't agree with it, and I'll refuse to defend it when people are kind of at it morally. I will not do it. The actual in-ring stuff and the on-screen product is something that I just can't get away from because I just love it so much. Even Survivor Series today, like there was moments where I'm like, oh, I wish I wasn't watching this because I'm just having so much trouble with certain people. And not only that, just thinking about things and being like, it's not just WWE, folks. It's the whole industry. I've said this many times. The whole industry is just littered with just not just trashy people, but just trashy practices, and the way that the kind of business is, the foundation of the business is not great. I'm not saying it's awful, and I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever. There's lots worse, but there's just some things about it when I'm this invested in it that really, really, really just get me as a person. But the actual in-ring and the actual on-screen product is what I'm kind of focusing on, and kind of low-key, the kind of trying to step away has made me love it more. Like I enjoyed Survivor Series more than I've enjoyed any show this year, just for the fact of like, oh, why am I trying to give something up that I love so much? However, I am certainly dialing back. And if I'm missing things, I'm not getting so antsy on myself. I'm like, I miss it. I miss it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I will find a way to catch up, or you see it on social media. So, I mean, yes, I probably will get back to prediction stuff, but I don't know.
You
I
needed
still
a
feel
break. Yeah, I understand that.
it's not even a break. It's just more so just, I don't know how I feel about heavily like promoting, for lack of a better term, just like heavily being so invested in it when I'm just as a person a little against it. If that sounds, I know that's probably an overreaction, but.
So do you feel that a lot of that is because we know so much about the wrestling business? I mean, if you go back to when you first got into wrestling, you knew about it, kind of like Santa. You knew, you had this idea in your mind that what was happening on the screen was real, that these people had a legitimate beef, and it was all settled in the ring. But as you've got older and you've realised that there's a whole business behind it, and then you've got involved in the social media aspect of it, where all the fans are talking about not just what's happening in the ring, but all the stuff that happens backstage, with terms of people's contracts and how happy, unhappy they are, people getting buried, stuff like that. Do you think that is what's affected you as a wrestling fan? And it's the ability to not just be able to go back to basics, turn your brain off, and just enjoy the wrestling for what it is, because you know that something else is going on backstage, and that's kind of affecting your enjoyment of the show.
I don't know. It's like anything. Everything's better when you're a kid. Everything is just better when you're a kid, when you don't know, shit from clay, basically. That's how I kind of see it. But it's weird. Okay, I'll get back to answering this question in a long-winded way. But when you watch a television show and you watch a character on a show and you're so heavily in Homer Simpson, okay? You're watching The Simpsons and you love Homer Simpson. Say Homer Simpson's your favorite Simpson. Whatever he does, you're just kind of like, hell yeah, Homer, you're the best. You don't think about who's voicing that actor and then going through all the stages of what they've done wrong in their life and all of this, and what they support, what they don't support, what they've said, what they haven't said. You're just watching Homer Simpson. You just want to laugh. You just want to feel something for Homer Simpson. As getting older, you start learning about different things and you start going, I like you, but you also do this, and my beliefs don't match up with your beliefs, and all this kind of stuff. Wrestling as a whole, I will say this, and I mean this I don't mean this in a super negative way like it's going to sound, but in a lot of ways, social media, for me, has ruined wrestling, because I feel that I'm so heavily involved in it all the time. I'm seeing so many different opinions on wrestling all the time that it's almost taken over my own opinion of wrestling at this stage, because I'm just seeing so much. I could like something that's on there, okay? Bianca Belair won a match, okay? And she beat Sasha Banks. And I like it, right? I'm like, yes, Bianca, great stuff, great match. And then I see two people go, I didn't like that. They should have done this. And then I see another two people say they should have done this. Before you know it, I'm reading all this stuff and then I'm going, so what did I actually want? Because I don't remember anymore, because I'm seeing so much information thrown at me that I don't actually even care about what I'm thinking about anymore. It's almost like I hate the fact that people are so negative all the time about something that's happening on a fake television show. And then I get kind of lost in that. And it's kind of this internal battle with yourself of like, what do I like? What don't I like? I'm so invested in what people are saying that at the end of the day, they're strangers and they shouldn't affect how I view anything, but it is. And that was the kind of start of it, back a year and a half ago, when I really started, I guess, getting content out there more and gaining more of a following. You see more opinions, but we know so much about wrestling now, and it's weird. I was always under the impression I could separate the company's actions from the actual product. I could separate the character from the actual talent. And what they're saying on Twitter or what they're saying in interviews. And now I'm getting to the point where I can't, and it's kind of taking over how I feel about wrestling. for example, basically, this year has been so rough with COVID, and even just like, not that I'm going to spew about American politics, but even American politics has taken over the world.
And British
Everyone's
politics.
everyone's beliefs is kind of at the forefront of everything, whether you're this side or this side, it doesn't matter. We're all just kind of barking at one another. And I know I'm very much like that on Twitter, and I get that. But we're so scattered because the two sides are so opposite to one another in terms of like how someone is spewing so much hate and how someone is spewing so much of kind of this weird in between. But it's people are picking right or left, and they're like, I'm this, and I'm gonna vocalize that. For example, and everybody, I'm not gonna tell you what to believe, but for example, someone like Chris Jericho, who's come out and said all these things, and we've seen donating to certain political parties. Chris Jericho was my favorite wrestler of all time for years and years and years. This year has made me dislike that person because of him as a person. And I can't separate that from the on-screen Chris Jericho. And I don't know why, but I can't help it. You can't help that stuff. It's just natural. It's natural to go, you start even looking at him as a wrestling character and finding all the things that you don't like about it to justify to yourself why you don't like this person anymore. And I think a lot of that has taken over me with wrestling lately. And then all the stuff on top of that with speaking out, how certain wrestlers and talent and even just people in the world are treating how they view COVID, and everything, speaking out. And then the stuff, the tip of the iceberg for me for some reason was seeing Zelina Vega get released over something so small like third party websites like Twitch. And I'm like, you're just taking away people's, not even just money, you're just taking away them for something to do in this time. And for some reason that just made me explode. And I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't be so involved in something that's just so, again, just morally trash. It's not lining up with me as a person anymore. And not just to say like, I'm right, you're wrong. It's more of a sense of like, this feels like just disgusting to support something so vocally and so openly. And then also I'm saying all these things that I am as a human being and all the things that I stand for. And this is just kind of going against everything that I stand for. You know, look at all the deals, even if you're just looking at WWE, look at all the deals they've done with different things. And you're like, I understand you're a business and businesses do pretty dodgy things all the time, but it's most businesses I don't love as much as I love WWE or professional wrestling as a whole. I don't love it. I don't love anything like that. So it's weird. And I know that's a really long-winded answer, but that's where my head's at. But then also I still love wrestling. It's a really weird spot. I'm trying to separate it, and I'm trying to kind of, when is the point of when can you separate the talent from the company or the talent from the industry? It's also a matter of fact, this Mags, you'll understand this wholeheartedly. I'm scared to support people anymore because in a month's time, they might come out that they've done something disgusting and I've vocally supported them. And then I feel gross. And I'm like, I don't know who I can like anymore in the business. It's like, it's why I'm so enamored on like focusing on one little section of the business in the women of pro wrestling, because a lot of it is not as trashy as everything else. And even, you never know with some things. It's just a matter of like, I'm scared that that's going to happen as well. And then it's like, I can't like that person anymore. And then it's like, I'm investing so much time in that character and I don't like them anymore because they're doing something disgusting. And it's just been a really rough year for that kind of stuff, just across the board. So that's where my head's at. Yes, I'll still continue to watch wrestling. It's just I'm going to be a little bit less supportive, I guess. I don't know if that's contradicting myself. I don't know if that sounds like I'm a hypocrite. I understand if it does. I totally get it. But it's hard to break off something you've loved and still do love for 20 years. I've watched Raw nearly every week for this long. And it's like Tuesday morning comes around for me, everyone. And it's like, Raw's on. I'm going to watch it. Even if it's on in the background, it's still kind of, it's comforting, and it's that time of the week. And then lockdown kind of rolled around this week. And I was like, well, comfort time. I'm going to just sit on my couch and watch wrestling because I got nothing to do. Because that's my time, is like, I'm just spending it watching wrestling. I love wrestling, but I don't know. I kind of went on a tangent there, but I don't know how it is what it is, but there's a lot on my mind about it and I just can't. but I still can't step away. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think it's something that we're all guilty of, and I know I'm certainly guilty of it. Is putting wrestlers and companies on pedestals. You get so invested in that wrestler as a character that you sometimes don't understand that there's a person behind that character,
Yes.
and that person behind that character is as flawed and as human as everybody else. They have their own opinions, they have their own beliefs, their own philosophies, and it may not align with the character that they're putting out.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the Chris Jericho one, for example, I'm like you. I'll always consider him is in terms of in ring one of the greatest. He was always able to reinvent himself and keep himself relevant. But over these past few weeks and months, when crises have hit like COVID and the American politics system, he's revealed some very kind of weird and kind of some mindsets that do not align with my mindset, and it kind of does affect you as a fan because you're invested in him, but the character that he portrays rather than him, the human being. And the same with the likes of Nia Jax. She said some really weird things about COVID, saying how she's going to leave it in the hands of God and she's not going to have a vaccine, but yet she's had members of her own family struggle to get over COVID. And you've got to realize that these are people. They can be as idiotic as any one of us. It's just that they're on our TV screens every single week, and that's why I'll always have kind of an issue with having such a feverish fandom of a wrestler, or even get to the point of wrestling Twitter where you get stands where they'll go to bat for every against every kind of argument for their favorite.
Yeah.
You get it with AEW, you get it with Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss, all these kind of like who their favorite can't do any wrong. The fact is that they can, because they're just like us. They're all capable of making mistakes. They're all capable of doing and saying stupid things. And it's on us as wrestling fans to be able to kind of separate that side of the character from that person. And like I said, this is not me preaching. I don't believe I'm a better fan than anyone else. I'm as guilty of it as anyone.
Oh yeah.
But this year has certainly kind of made me realize a lot more when we've been stuck in the weeds as a world, not even as a country or a community, as a whole world. We've had to deal with something awful, and it's took the lives of so many innocent people. When you see the wrestlers that you're a big fan of coming out and saying things that are upsetting and go against every kind of scientific metric that you can think of, it makes you realize, these are just people, and they're stupid people. But the fact is that they're on a wrestling ring, and you shouldn't put as much stock in what they say and what they do, because they're just an actor. They're just playing a part.
Yeah,
they're just
that's
there
what
to
they
entertain you. Don't live your life but via their words, because they're just going to let you down. It's as simple as that.
I know it's the old saying of never meet your heroes or anything like that, because you'll probably be disappointed. But it's not just, we're not just like singling out wrestling here. It's been the whole world, not just people within the public eye, people within your own life, and they just have their kind of beliefs in it. I think something that we do need to do as a society, that this just doesn't, this kind of falls with everything, is that I wish we could normalize this thing of people having an opinion, but there's also changing their opinion and changing and learning more about things. Like, I hate that we have to, as a society, someone says one thing and that's what they're stuck with for the rest of time. They can't change their mind. Everyone's like, oh, they're going back on what they said. It's like, no, maybe they're learning more information. Maybe they're going, oh, maybe that isn't right. Maybe that is right. Maybe I should do this instead of this. And it's like, why as a world can we not kind of just normalize that and make that more acceptable of people just changing their mind? It comes under the thing of like cancel culture and that, which I just can't stand cancel culture. I wish that would be canceled, is cancel culture, because it's like, we're in this age of social media where people are saying things freely like they would in their regular life. And because it's on the internet, it has the opportunity to blow up if it wants to. If enough people click on that thing, it will blow up. And then people are kind of tagged and like, we can't support you because you said this one dumb thing. And I understand that there's different things with different things that are being cancelled. There's some things that, okay, yes, cancel that. Cancel people that are rapists and cancel people that, are that kind of, killing people and all that kind of stuff. But there's just some people making dumb comments and then they're apologizing. Everyone's like, oh, they're saving face by apologizing. It's like, no, maybe they feel bad and they realize what they've done is wrong and they want to try and make themselves better. No one is just a perfect human being. I've made so many mistakes. I'm very fortunate that they haven't been in the public eye like a lot of these celebrities are. But like, even look at like, for example, child stars that grow up and they're like, oh, they're doing this and they're just growing up. Everybody did those things when they were growing up. They're just in the public eye. And now that people think they're crazy because they smoked weed one time. It's like, no, that's called being a teenager and discovering the world. It's this whole thing of like not normalizing people, when you need to normalize people changing their mind and learning new information. We need to get rid of cancel culture. We need to kind of let people kind of just grow up. I mean, Mags, you're a super old man. You've lived a whole life. You know what I mean?
Get to fuck.
Mags grew up listening to like Beethoven and stuff like that in the 30s and 40s. So he's experienced a whole life. I mean, I was born in the late 90s. So, like I'm a baby. But even just things like that, man, all seriousness, we both did things we regret when we were 15, 16, 17, 18 years old and beyond. And we're like, imagine if that was filmed. Imagine if that was on the internet. I'd be like, oh, God, I don't think people would really appreciate that. And you'd probably get canceled for a lot of these things now. I say canceled with air quotes, of course, but like you probably would. Like, it's just like, I'm just a kid learning how to live. I'm learning who I am as a person. I just think we live in this world now where it's just, I don't know. Is social media just ruining the fucking world?
I mean, social media's got a massive part to play in it, but I also think that social media's brought a lot of good. It's brought the world together in terms of we can talk from the opposite sides of the world.
Yes,
it's brought
true.
the world in together in terms of we can share ideas and information and knowledge with each other. But yeah, you are right. It has brought some very bad kind of elements. And cancel culture is definitely one of them. I've always been of the mindset that people will make mistakes. I am not fallible. I am not perfect. I've made some dumbass mistakes. I've probably said some dumb things. I've probably upset a lot of people. But you never learn if you don't make mistakes. Nobody is ever going to go through life and have a perfect run and never make a mistake. You've got to be able to make the mistakes to realize that you've done wrong and how to change and how to grow as a person. I'm on the same kind of mindset as you, where things that are inherently evil, like rape and like murder and stuff like that. Yeah, there's certainly some things that are unforgivable.
Absolutely.
But making silly comments on social media as a kid when you don't have a full kind of view of the world and you're trying to be clever or funny to people around you, and it comes back to bite you a decade later on. But yet you still apologise. I don't like that kind of cancel culture. I do believe that people can say stupid things. I mean, racist, homophobic things, stuff like that. People say that as teenagers because it's the cool thing to do. You're fitting in with a crowd.
I did. Yeah. I said many homophobic things as a teenager, and now I like penis. So, like, it's like I said so many things that I regret and I would never want people to say now. And I also realize, though, that it's so instilled in our culture that I'm just speaking from my thing here with homophobic stuff. Of course, I've never experienced racism. I don't know what that's like. And I know that sounds very ignorant of me, but I can only imagine how bad that would be.
Yeah.
But it's because of the color of my skin, that's just, I can't fully understand. I try as hard as I can. But like I've said many things in when I was even 18, 19 years old, just around with my friends, saying many different just slurs and just different things because, oh, that's the cool thing to do. I want to fit in. So that's what you kind of do. And now even as like I know you're going to say, oh, you baby, but in the last year, I feel like I have grown so much as a person. I'm actually starting to feel mature, and I'm actually starting to realize like life is beyond getting drunk every weekend with your friends. No, life is actually about making plans and goals and stuff. Like many conversations I've had with you, Mags, where I'm like, I'm ready to get away from my family, not because I dislike them, because I'm ready to just kind of grow and spread my wings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've said many things as a kid that I would never say now, but also realizing those mistakes, I think, is a big part of you growing as a person, is going, yeah, I said a lot of dumb shit. I said so much dumb shit. I've done a lot of dumb things that I would never do now, but I wouldn't know that I shouldn't do them unless I almost did them in a way and gone like, okay, that was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. But I feel like this world of social media, where it is predominantly a lot of people in their late teens, early 20s that are kind of like the prominent figures on social media, it's like they're growing as people and they're realizing what's right and wrong. They don't know what's right and wrong until they kind of experience life and how they deal with those situations. So I think it's just, we need to, I think people don't know where to draw the line, and they're just like, oh, we're canceling this person because they said this thing. And it's like, I don't understand how people that are, murderers and stuff like this aren't getting the same treatment as someone who just, a dumb teenager that just said something silly online and they're just trying to better themselves after that. I just think it's a really weird world. And I know a lot of people say this world is oversensitive, and I do agree I do agree with that to a certain degree, but also I think that sensitivity is good, and I think that it is a good thing that the world is aware of what is right and wrong, but they're drawing the line way too in this left field where it's like everything is wrong, nothing is right almost, and kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I don't know. The world is weird though.
And that's not us condoning people
Oh
saying
no.
slurs and being hurtful and unkind to their fellow human. It's more about educating them on why it's wrong, and rather than punishing them for saying it in the first place. Because I've always had the kind of mindset that if you punish somebody for doing something wrong like that, you kind of like beating that mindset into them. You kind of like you're forcing them to think like that more because they got a negative reaction to it. Whereas if you educate them and you speak to them and say, look, this is hurtful to this section of the community because of this, and this, you're giving them more of a chance to realize that what you're saying is wrong and what you're saying is harming your fellow human. I prefer to focus on that. Let people make the mistakes and show them why it's wrong, so that the next time that kind of situation comes up, they'll take a second and they'll think, and maybe they then will pass that kind of knowledge on to someone else who's doing it. And it's kind of like the pay it forward system, where you kind of show empathy and kindness to someone who's done something wrong, and that kind of instills that feeling into them, and they pass it on forward. And I think the world would be a better place if everybody was much more kinder to their fellow human than they are now.
Yeah, it's wishful thinking, isn't it, Mags? It really, in all seriousness, it's wishful thinking. It's there's some people that, we're not condoning it, and also like, yes, people should be at least made aware that they're doing something wrong. And, by all means, hey, you did this wrong, I don't agree with this. And I'm not being like, oh, no worries, mate. Like, just, I'm going to tell, like, no. I understand at the very initial stage, like, yes, okay, we need to tell people that they've done something wrong. But then when people keep making those mistakes, by all means, sometimes there's no help. And it's just like, they're not learning. I'm not wasting my time. That's when you can kind of be like, I'm done with that person. But give them a chance. Give them room to grow.
It's the dog piling that gets me.
Oh, I don't like that either.
Where so even people who that they've done the exact same thing are jumping on the bandwagon just because it's the cool thing to do, cancel someone and hashtag like cancel Amber Heard or hashtag cancel Johnny Depp, for instance, and things like that. That really annoys me because it's the anonymity that social media provides you, that you're able to basically do what this person's doing to them through the sake of I'm joining a cancel culture following. I don't like it one little bit. People are going to make mistakes. They should be allowed to learn from them mistakes.
I agree, and everything is just such an open book now. With everybody's life is so documented. I know that, again, this is kind of fascinating to me, Mags, is that, like you said, I don't know if was it at the start of this show or it was in our little tiny pre-chat, I don't know, but you said we are in two different generations. And I've grown up in school with, I guess I was the kind of in that first generation that's like had a phone all the time. And as a kid, I'm in that kind of leading generation. I see like kids, I didn't get a phone. I think I was 13 when I had my first phone or something like that, but it was all through high school and everything. Like everybody had phones. And Facebook was beginning. Like I remember Facebook starting and I was at the end of the MySpace era and into Facebook and stuff like that. But everyone had that stuff. And it is weird. I guess it's a kind of like weird thing to like flex. It's like I was in that generation. We just grew up with that stuff. It was the first time we were kind of the leaders and I guess kind of like flying that flag. But now you see kids as young as like 7, 8 years old having phones and they have access to all these things like Facebook and Snapchat and Twitter and all of these things. And you're like, ooh, I don't think I would be able to do that at 8 years old. And then you know how the internet is. The internet can be a great thing and it's a great tool for many reasons, but it's also very bad if you don't know what you're doing.
Wild West. Yeah,
it is. It's which path do you kind of go down here, and you don't really know. There's so many doors to kind of pick from when you get in there, and once you're in it, it's a very fascinating thing. You get lost in it for a long time, and just kind of be like, where am I going to end up? So it is kind of weird to, again, it's fascinating to me to talk to you about this in just the terms of two different generations and where we kind of meet in the middle and we still are very much on the same mindset and we have the same understanding and stuff like that. I guess the difference between you and I, Mags, is that as I'm growing as a person, social media is also rapidly growing and it's outgrowing faster than I'm growing. And I'm at a stage now, obviously, getting older, I'm at a stage now where I understand what I'm doing. And I guess I got like a good grip on how I take social media and how I take it in and stuff like that. But growing up with that and social media is outgrowing me. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I just want to fit in. I want to be what everyone else is doing, but I don't fully understand what's going on because the generation before me also doesn't understand what's going on, because I couldn't ask my mum and dad of like advice when they were 13 and they were getting targeted bullying on Facebook. It's like, they're like, we got bullied in school, but we didn't have the access to Facebook at your age. So it's like they're learning, I'm learning, and there's really no one to kind of, I guess, look up to in that sense of like for advice and like how to deal with this kind of stuff. You just kind of like thrown it and then you kind of just like, here, go, and then try and navigate deal with it. It is. And again, I'm not trying to be a smart ass. It's the only time I won't call you old, but like, it is kind of weird to think that, isn't it? Is it kind of weird to hear, like, we didn't have anyone to go to and be like, what's this about? Like, because you guys didn't really grow up with that like we were.
For me, social media I consider myself quite technically savvy.
You are.
I tend to have fairly up-to-date phones. I tend to have like decent amount of electronics. But when it comes to social media, I latched onto the Twitter bandwagon fairly early on, and I just can't get to grips with all the other kind of social medias that have popped up around it. I was never a big Facebook fan because I know
Facebook sucks. Everybody, just letting you know, Facebook is for like 50-year-old people that are like, mums are always on Facebook and they can never spell anything properly. Like, I go on Facebook and I'm like, I seen this on Twitter 4 days ago. what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it's like we're in the fucking Twilight Zone. I'm like, is the Facebook universe just finding out that this person won an election? Because now they're talking about it and they weren't when Twitter was. It's weird. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, the thing I never really liked about Facebook is the amount of information that it collects about you in the
Yeah.
background. That's never sat right with me. And then also, like you said, the mums on there and the conspiracy theories and
all
the
the
kind
groups,
of face.
all the groups on
Yeah,
Facebook about like they're just mums talking about their wine and stuff like that, and you're like, oh my god! And not only that, it's also like Facebook is just a bunch of people that try to add me from school. And I'm like, I didn't catch up with you for a reason. It's because you were a cockhead at school, so I don't want to know you now. So like that's how I feel with Facebook. Twitter, you can hide behind a little bit more. I feel.
well, I think with Twitter, it's been easier to like get involved in a community.
Yeah, that
You're
too.
not locked behind, say, community groups or like you are on Facebook, where you have to join. On Twitter, the wrestling community, which is the one I'm mostly involved in, we're all in open Twitter. It's just we
It's
kind
the
of like
algorithm.
gravitate toward, yeah.
The algorithm of it.
But the other social medias, I've absolutely no clue about. WhatsApp, Snapchat, TikTok. I mean, I literally only signed up for
Hey, come on
TikTok.
now. I won't take any TikTok slander. I won't take any TikTok slander. You know that, Mag.
I'm not here to slander it. I just don't get it. I don't get how it's become so popular. I mean, I only signed up for an account to watch your videos on there.
Hell yeah, you did. Hell yeah, you
Because
did.
I'm a Joshy stan.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, if people enjoy it and it's a way for people to communicate, I understand that. But I'm happy in my little Twitter bubble. I don't know what I'd do without. If Twitter went away, I don't know if I'd be able to gravitate to another kind of social media. I mean, Twitter have added a new feature called Fleets.
Oh,
which,
it's on Fleet, yo.
I don't understand it. I don't get the point.
Story.
I mean,
You don't have Instagram though, do you? You didn't have an
no,
Instagram account. So
no.
basically, or Snapchat as well. It's stories. So basically, stories are something you can kind of like. How do I explain this to a old man? It's like so you want to like push something, so everyone has to click on it. So you go through fleets and you can kind of click on them, and it's just kind of like an easier way of just scrolling through content. You can kind of put targeted stuff up there. You can put tweets up there. Okay. I'm pretty sure Instagram does it a little better because you can add music to it and stuff like GIFs, and it looks a little better. And you can kind of grab people's. It's a way to, for me. This is how I view fleets and stories on Instagram, is that it's the stuff I want to push content wise. And I'm like, I want people to see this now instead of just getting lost in all the tweets. I can push this on my fleet, if you will, and kind of put it there. But Instagram does it way better. So, you know, I'm an Instagram stan. I love Instagram. I think it's just so great.
I mean, that's another thing with this generation that I can't understand, the amount of like selfies. People like taking selfies all the time. I mean, I think I may have 3 or 4 photos in my phone of me. The most thing I take photos of is the grandkids, and that's no I want to put on an Instagram because they're memories for me.
Listen, I can't talk because most of my stuff is of this little idiot right here, who I will exploit for clicks. By the way, I'm not opposed to it. It's all just giddy content. You can kind of see it. You can see our little white socks that, you know, you can kind of see her there. But it's just all that on my Instagram. It's just content and giddy. But that's basically my Twitter at this point anyway. So wait till you see all the fleets I'll put up of that thing. So because I exploit her, because I want to be more over. Validate.
Via cat.
It's always my most liked stuff is like put a picture of a cat up and people are like, oh, an animal. They're much better than human beings, which I honestly agree with anyway. But
that is very, very true. So something that yeah, nothing wrong with dogs. Dogs are the best. Something that I did want to ask you, and it's probably going to be a little bit maybe awkward or a little bit personal, but you've had a quite a big year in terms of personal growth. Yes. Obviously, we all know that you finally let the world know about your sexuality and how you become comfortable with it. How has that gone in terms of acceptance, in terms of how it's made you as a person, how you've grown because of it, and how it's like affected your stuff like your life ambitions and how you want to move forward as a person. I've always been kind of like interested in how the reaction to you telling the world that you get, how that's had an effect on you.
Well, it's changed my way I view life in a weird way. I wouldn't have a year ago morally been against wrestling because of I wasn't fully open morally with myself. So a year later, fast forward, my kind of eyes are in a different spot, and I'm kind of like looking around at the world and being like, what do I value? Because, okay, for example, we talk about, so I just said about social media, how it can be a pretty shitty place. Without social media, I would not have accepted myself as a human being, regardless of my sexuality. I say things like, oh, validate me and stuff like that. But that kind of stuff validation from strangers is nothing. However, validating me in a sense of like, okay, people listen to what I have to say and I have a voice in this world. Coming out was like the craziest thing and the scariest thing and the most bizarre thing I personally think I'll ever do in my life. You never know what you're going to do in your life, but I don't think I could ever do something that's scary and that just freeing and in a sense. It was just I've never felt so many emotions in the time span of 24 hours as I did when I clicked tweet. When I posted that video on YouTube. It was just there was so many stages. It was like relief, and then it was like anger, and then it was like regret and sadness and just so many different emotions. But as a person, it's made me, a lot of people said this to me, the very few people, even just anonymously, that I would talk to about coming out, and they're like, you're going to view the world differently. The world's going to kind of feel a little easier, and you're going to notice things that you wouldn't do before, you just do openly now, and you're just kind of like, yeah, I want this. I've noticed in the last, it's been nearly 6 months since I came out, and I've organized more of my life in the last 6 months than I ever have. I've grown up in the last 6 months. Even people around me, even people at work that I associate with, 4 times, 5 times a week, are like, you just seem much more driven and much more motivated, and just, I'm kind of not sweating the small stuff anymore. Is probably the biggest notice I've had, is like the little things don't really matter because I've been through that. And I'm not saying that I'm any better than anyone else, but for me personally, that was kind of the pinnacle. It's like I've been through that, and I've been through that kind of I guess it just felt like that first 2 weeks, even that first month, it felt like every eyeball in the world was on me, and I was just I was so sensitive and so just in this spot of like, everyone is talking about, even though no one was, in a sense of like, no one really gave a shit in a good way. I just felt like the world was looking at me and everything I do was being judged so openly because I was so open on social media and just in my life. But it's just made me so driven, and it's made me so motivated. Like I'm in the process of moving away from a town that I've lived in since I was 7. And I always was just like, I'll always live here and I'll always be happy here. And now I'm just like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go do other things. I want to try other jobs that I'd never thought I would try before. I want to study. I want to do different things. Content wise, you've probably noticed I've taken risks that I never would have done 2 years ago, because I just was like, I'll stay in my lane and stay over here and be kind of less like, I'm over here doing my thing. Now I'm doing other things, and it's like just so much more comfortable, just is the main thing that I'm not caring about. Little things like, I talk with my hands. I'm a very much a hand talker that does this. I would notice that about myself and stop doing it because I thought people were just, but now I'm just like nothing. No one gives a shit. But it's just, it's weird. You're probably one of the first people that's actually like fully asked me that in the last 6 months, it's always usually the question of like, how is being gay? It's like, I don't know. I like penis openly now. So that's basically as far as the kind of conversation would go. But actually, like, beyond sexuality and beyond just, being openly attracted to men, it's now a case of like, as a person, I'm just so much more open and I'm so much more free. And this sounds cliche, but I just feel like I can actually like experience the world and tackle the world, and just kind of, again, I've just matured a lot since doing that.
Mhm.
And just how I kind of look at beliefs and look at values and what's important to me, I guess, is so different, because now it's like I want to do things of like, I never thought I'd be that. Even before coming out, even I was getting ready to come out, I was like, oh, I don't understand, even if you are like, openly gay, why you would care about pride and why you would care about telling everybody that you're gay and why you'd care about that. But then realizing after, it's like you say those things because so many people in the world are still so uncomfortable with it. And I think, well, I'll speak for myself. I'm trying to, almost in a desperate way, I guess, normalize it, because it should be normal. So like,
Mhm.
I talk about it more often because I want to make those people feel extra uncomfortable, and like dealing with things in the last 6 months of being called slurs on by strangers on the internet, and seeing how I deal with it. And yes, it does still affect me, but seeing how I deal with it, and then people being, commenting on that and being like, I'm also gay and I don't think I could deal with it like this. Like, hats off to you. I wish more people would be how you are kind of tackling this. And I guess that's where I am at the moment, is this like, yes, I have been dealt, homophobia is still very real, as no matter how many people say like it's normal. Homophobia is still very real, and I've experienced it in many different forms, in many different ways in the last 6 months, more than you'll ever know, of just the way people look at me, the way people make little comments, um, and try to justify that they're not homophobes, but then also say something homophobic. And
Yeah.
homophobic is many more things than just, I don't like gay people. No, it's many more things than just that. Um, it's just, yeah, I'm just so much more open, and I'm super. The first month or so, of course, I was not, and it was so awkward and uncomfortable. And every time someone asked me about it, I would just be like, "Yep," and change the subject, because it was just so
Mhm.
awkward to talk about it with anybody. Like, I don't think you, well, Mags, you wouldn't know what this is like, but that first conversation I had with my mum was the worst. I don't wish it upon anybody. It was just like the most awkward. Who wants to talk with their mum about who you're sexually attracted to? You don't want to talk to your mum about that. Like, it's just weird. And you're like, oh, I don't want to tell anybody about this. And it was just awkward and uncomfortable. And I hated every minute of it. But the end result was like, okay, this is a good thing. Um, of course, everyone knows I don't have a relationship with my dad, so I don't know what that's like to talk with my father about this. But I'm sure he knows. My sister and my brother still have a relationship with him, and I'm sure it's come up, but I don't know what his reaction is to it. But again, I've said this before. Um, I've had a pretty easy experience. I'm aware that a lot of people come out, and they're disowned by their families. And that's a big reason why you don't. That's the first reason I thought in my head of like, what about if my family just turn around and go, well, we can't accept you anymore, and then I have nothing. That was the kind of main thing going out. Strangers, whatever. You don't care. It was easier for me to come out on Twitter than it was to come out on Facebook. Put it that way. Because
Yeah.
Twitter is so much more, as a world, you're so much more open. I knew people like you and Queen and everybody would come out and just be like, yes, do you. But then the people I went to school with and the people I work with was the people I was worried about the most, because it's like I have to see these people in a face-to-face scenario every single day of my life. And that's not the easiest thing to kind of confront. Um, it's this weird thing about yourself that you're like hidden for so long. And now that I'm openly out, I'm just like talk about it all the time, so nonchalantly, because it's just whatever. And what am I that what am you probably known about me, Mags, is, well, the reason we click is humor. And that's how I kind of deal with everything, is humor. So I like the fact that I can make jokes about it now, and it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. Like, say what you want. I really don't. It really doesn't affect me that much. But long-winded answer again, because that's just how I am. But but it's just, yeah, it's made me just value life a little bit more, and just ready to kind of, for challenges that I didn't think I was ready for before, basically.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me that it's in the grand scheme of things, your sexuality is one tiny facet of your character. It's something that, I mean, when you came out and we spoke about it, it didn't affect me in the slightest because it didn't change Josh as a person.
No.
I was I was I was not. We didn't click because of your sexuality. We click because of we mesh as people,
Yeah.
and who you're attracted to really had no bearing on that whatsoever. So I was always going to be accepting of you because I'd already accepted you. We were already friends. Nothing was going to change that. But I have observed how you being able to be kind of honest with yourself
Mm-hmm.
has done exactly what you said. It's allowed you to take risks in terms of content that you would not have ordinarily done. It's allowed you to be brave. It's allowed you to just make moves that would have frightened you 6 to 12 months ago that you would not have done. Like I said, stay in your lane. It's an absolutely perfect kind of way of putting it, and it's always been kind of intriguing to me how being that little bit of opening up and being honest with yourself and being honest with the people that know you and your like your family and your friends has made you flourish as a
Mm.
human being, and it's really kind of brought out, yeah, these people have accepted me. It's time for me to make my way in the world. And yeah, I've said it to you dozens of times, but I'm so proud of you in terms of everything that you've done. I know we give each other a lot of shit back and forth, but it's all behind love. I think you're an absolutely amazing human being. The stuff that you've had to deal with. I mean, we've spoke on Why We Watch. Um, you've had real issues from being young and to be the person that you are today. Such a strong, confident, and honest with yourself human being. Yeah, I couldn't be more proud of you, Josh. I think you're absolutely amazing.
Uh, I I don't often, I'm not an often person to like get emotional when I do content, but it's like, um bear
I
with me a minute.
broke Josh.
You
I
broke me.
broke Josh.
I'm trying not to like burst into tears, but it's like, that is it's just such a thing to think about, because I, like I said, I really haven't been asked that question. And I actually go back over the last 6 months and actually think about my life and just where I am now. It's just like, I'm just, I'm not a different person, but I'm just
No, you
such a,
are. You absolutely are. In terms of the human being. No, you're not. You're still the same lovable Josh Robinson that we all took under our wing, the baby of our group, the one that we always wanted to look after and mother. You're still that
nurture.
person, but yeah, exactly. But in terms of character development and in terms of being like honest with yourself and being honest with everybody around you, it's been so good to see. I mean, you've probably heard this dozens and dozens of times, but we knew, we as a group knew.
I think a lot
Obviously,
of
we
people
knew.
knew, like a lot
Yeah.
of people knew, but the thing that I always kind of say to people when people are like, oh, I've known for a long time, it's like, but here's the thing. Yes, okay, in the terms of the time that you guys have known me, absolutely, because it's been in the last couple of years of my life. But people are like, I've known
Mm-hmm.
since you were like, at school, 16 years old. I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't fully know. And until I fully know, until I fully accept it, it's not for anyone else to tell me what I am
No,
and what I'm
no, no,
not.
absolutely not. And that was definitely not the point that I was making.
Oh,
What
no,
I
no, I
was,
get that. Yeah.
we knew there was something. It's and this is going to sound harsh, but we knew there was
Just
something
say it.
different and something special about you. Whether that was whatever. I mean, this for me. This, like I said, the sexuality is the smallest little facet. It really doesn't concern me or doesn't kind of affect my relationship with you one little bit. But the fact that you were able to then be honest with yourself, it's made you a bigger and a better and a more rounded human being. And I'm so proud of you for being able to, first of all, take that step and be honest with yourself, take that step and be honest with the people around you, and and the amount of grief that I know that you took, and still being able
it
to be
wasn't.
brave and be still the Josh that we all love. I mean, this is the kind of thing that has affected people and changed people, and you have become such a better person because of it, and it's all because you're able to be honest, and I'll love you more for it.
Oh Jesus. It's like I'm like
But you're still a dick.
I know. It's just it's. Oh, I'm not often in a state of like I have not many words, but it's weird to go back and think about all of this kind of stuff, and then hearing you say that, and then kind of just reliving that in my brain. Almost, it's like a weird thing that you're not shut off, but it's just a weird thing to be like all of the people that come out and said these things about like me in a good way, like in support and everything like that. It's like I wouldn't be able to be in the spot I am now without the community of people. And I guess again, full circle from what we said at the start is that social media can be a really awful place, can be a really negative place, but I would not have made it to the other side without social media in this thing of posting that and then just seeing the response and being like, we've got you, we got your back. It's not even about like what you did and didn't know. It's more so the fact that people were just like irrelevant of that. They were just like, I love you, I've got you, we've got you, this doesn't change a thing. Like that's the kind of stuff when you're in that vulnerable of a spot that you need to hear. I needed to hear things like, you are okay, I love you, I've got you, I love to see this, I'm so happy. I needed to hear that. I needed to be validated more than I've ever been validated in my entire life, because I was searching that. But also on the other side of things, the slightest of people's tones with me, the slightest of off comments, people could just be having a bad day and just be like, I don't want to talk to you. And I'd be like, oh my fucking God, that person hates me because of the way I am. I'm trash. I think for anyone that's come out or relate to this, and again, everyone is different. Everybody's story and journey is so different. But you are so hypersensitive with everything, both good and bad. You just need to be validated in every which way but loose, because you're just so open, and you've never been this open in your life. I spent a majority of my life hiding something, and it's like, I'm so good at that. And I know it's very easy for me now. I know how easy it is for me to shut off and just be like, I won't tell this person this, and I'll just act like nothing's happening. As a person, that is sometimes my natural instinct, is to be like, okay, that person doesn't need to know that. Secret, secret, secret. That's how I kind of was. And I think since that, it's almost just like, I don't really give a fuck what you know about me. I don't really give a fuck what your opinion is about me. I'm over here. I'm happy. I'm doing my own thing. It also has made me realize the people that I need to spend my time on and the people that I don't need to spend my time on, that just try to tell me I'm great for a little bit of clout on social media, and then not actually agreeing with what their own self is saying. So again, 2020 for me, I mean, it's been the biggest year of my life. It has been the most eye-opening year of my life. It personally, just the most fulfilled I've ever felt, regardless of what else is going on in the world. Selfishly, it's the biggest year I'll ever have in my life, I think. So, I mean, you just successfully nearly got me to cry on a podcast. So top work to you there, Mags. You know, I mean, pat on the back. Back to being my little asshole self to you. But what was it like growing up listening to Beethoven and stuff like that? Because I'm curious, because I don't know.
Get to fuck. I am not that
I had to get away from the deep stuff, because I was like, oh, he's going to break me and I'm just going to like burst into tears. So I'm like, let's call him old, because that's just well, I mean, look at you.
That's the go-to, because I am very incredibly old. I tell you what though, having grandkids makes you realize how old you
Can't relate. Don't even have kids. Woo, woo, woo. Party city over here.
But I've never felt so much love.
I can tell how much
for something.
I can tell how much you
and,
love
and that sounds harsh, because obviously I've been happily married for so long, and I've got kids, and it's I love them. I love them absolutely to death, but it's a totally different kind of love seeing these little human beings that look to you for guidance and look to you for just everything. And yeah, I three beautiful, beautiful little granddaughters, and I would happily run into traffic for them because
I know you would.
they're just adorable. They're absolutely adorable. And not this is going to be a bit of a humble brag, but I can tell I'm their favourite.
Oh,
Even over the actual mums and dads, they love me the most. They can.
look at
And
that. It
and
is
as
something that I know that you are, though, because there's so many conversations that we've had where you bring it up because you're just so proud, and it is like a flex of like, I love my grandkids so much, and it's like it is a really nice thing to see, and it's not like a fake like I'm showing it off to get clout on social media. It's like a real like genuine like I love these little things so much, and you can tell even by the way you're talking about them right now, like you're just like you just ear to ear, like they just make you so happy, which is great.
they do, they really do. I mean, I've had periods in my life where, yeah, I've struggled, and I'm. It makes me kind of reflect back on those times and think I'm so glad I made it through those dark times because I'm now getting to be part of these little babies' laughs and they bring so much joy. Yeah, I absolutely worship them. They're amazing, but they do make me feel old and they're turning me grey very very quickly. And nobody can tell me that babies cannot communicate because they are like an army. They know how to flank. They know how to divide and conquer. They are three little cowbags. They know how to push my buttons, but I adore them. I absolutely adore them.
I am not a person that loves children, which you know about me. However, I hate the fact that I'm so good with kids. I don't know why.
Mhm.
It must be something just internally in me that's like kids like me for some reason. I think that's why I dislike them so much, is because they gravitate towards me. Like, get away from me. It's just this thing. I don't know what it is about them. They just irritate me, which I think I'm pretty good at irritating people. So maybe it's like a weird, like internal thing of like, oh, maybe they're me. But it's weird. Babies and stuff, and I'm just like, oh god. And then I get handed one, and I'm usually the one that will like fall asleep in it, and I'm like, no, and then if you put it down, it starts crying, and it's like, oh my god, I'm that person, and I hate that I'm that person because I've never been one that loves kids. I get very uncomfortable.
So, I mean, has that never been something that you've ever pictured yourself having a family? Never. I mean, obviously with being gay, that's kind of
I mean,
puts bed to bed.
I mean, adoption and stuff is a lot of gay people do that,
Yeah,
and whatever. But it's never been something even like envisioning right now and being like, oh, I'm happy and I'm with someone. I don't see children. I see dogs and I see cats and I see. I've never. It all may change. I've grown a lot as a person, and as I get older and older, I'll probably be like, maybe I do want them one day, but it's not something that I've ever envisioned. Like I can't just close my eyes and be like, yes, that's what I want, because I just right now I don't. I've never even seen like the prospect of marriage being that important, to be completely honest. And this is just my opinion. Get married, whatever. Like I'm sure that maybe when the right person comes along, this might change my mind, but I've just never understood the kind of um, how can it enhance your love just to basically, in my opinion, get the government involved with a piece of paper. That's marriage to me. It's no different if you were just living with somebody and being in love with somebody. I've never been one to envision like marriage and children has never been on the forefront of my list of like important things in my life. Like, even if there is times where I'm like, okay, one day I'd like to get married, it's like down, it's, you know what I mean? I want to be
hmm
happy is number one. I want to be happy. I want to be with someone that values me. I want to be with someone that I want to value them. I don't look at things like marriage and stuff as validation for that. And again, I'm not against marriage, and I'm not someone that's like, oh, I hate marriage. No, that's not what I'm saying. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. It's just I think a lot of it, Mags, and again, I'm an open book, so I don't mind talking about this. And I've kind of mentioned this, that I seen my parents' marriage crumble before my very eyes. And it almost deterred me in a way of like, is this what marriage is? Because if this is what marriage is, then I don't really want any part of it. So I think a lot of it stems from that. It's probably something that I'll have to deal with in my life at some point and be like, okay, what is really the problem and the cause of the problem here? But yeah, it's never been something that's just super important to me. It's just like, I want to be happy and I want to be doing what I want to do in my life. And that kind of stuff just isn't at the forefront. I don't know if that's just you probably, well, I don't know how long you've been married for a long time, but I don't mean it in an old way. I mean, you've been happily married for a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not instilled in boys as young kids will be like, it's important to get married. No, what's instilled in boys is to have a good job and to provide. That's what's instilled in boys. Girls are taught to, you grow up to have children and have a family and be married. It's not instilled in boys. And I think it's changing a lot now with kids, because I've seen how even my mum parents my youngest brother, and it's like, it is very different. And I think like the modern man and this masculinity thing is slowly fading. But I was always taught like, you grow up to provide for your family and you grow up to have a good job, and career is your aspiration. When as for a woman, as for a girl, they're told to find a man, be happily married, and have a family. It is very different. So I guess it's just, I don't know. Is it a part of me is society? A part of me is seeing a marriage not really work out. A part of me is just, it's not that important to me in the grand scheme of things. So many other things are important in my life. So I don't know. This has never been something that I've like aspired to be or have in children and marriage. So who knows?
Yeah, I was exactly the same. Marriage was never something that really bothered me, and this is a bit of a scoop. I don't think I've ever mentioned this on any
exclusive.
Kind of podcast.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, the way me and Mrs. Mags like went through the whole kind of getting engaged and marriage process is, I proposed to her outside a video rental store in our local town. Yeah. And
that
then
sounds romantic. Sounds
it gets worse. It really does get worse.
Oh, no.
And then we were doing some shopping, and we were walking through the local town centre, and I turned to Mrs. Mag and said, "Shall we just go and get married now?" And she looked at me and went, "Come on, let's go and do it." So we went and found the local registry office in an attempt to get married that day. But you weren't legally allowed. You had to have your name on a board in case there were any kind of like legal repercussions. Why, say you'd already been married before, or things like that. So if anyone could like say there was no legal reason why you should be allowed to get married, so we had to wait 3 weeks. So yeah, we got married 3 weeks later, and yeah, we've been happily married ever since. We didn't make a massive song and dance of it. We didn't kind of like go into huge amounts of debt to put on a lavish party for people who we don't particularly like. We just wanted to do it. It kind of validated our relationship, and yeah, we obviously have had arguments and kind of issues. I wouldn't say we're the perfect couple, but what we do is
who is though? Like, it's normal to argue. It's how you deal with those arguments in relationships. That's even just in friendships and anything. It's like how you deal with the kind of struggles and stuff like that is how it kind of moves forward. That actually makes me like you so much more, Mags, is that the fact that you just kind of went, let's just go and do this. Yeah. Because I think so much is put into weddings, and I've been to many weddings, some better than others, and people put so much effort into this that it's almost like, do you care more about the wedding or do you care more about the marriage? Because the marriage is something you want to be with for the rest of your life. A wedding is one day, and yes, make it special. I'm not saying weddings are shit. Weddings can be a little bit much sometimes, I will admit. Sometimes I'm like, okay, let's just get on with this damn thing. But there should be a happy day, and there should be something you want. But like some I've seen some weddings that are so extravagant, and then a year later they get divorced, and you're like, oh,
Exactly, and
what a
we've had exactly the same thing. We've been to people's weddings where they've spent tens, 20, 30,000 pounds
shame.
on a wedding, and they're now divorced, and you think that's that's 30,000 pounds that could have bought you a brand new car, or could
Yeah,
have been a deposit on a house.
absolutely.
And yeah, it's interesting. We see like our friends and our family who have got married after us, and then are now divorced and on to sometimes the second and
Mhm.
third marriages, and yeah, we've survived, and it's through communication. We talk about every problem that
So
we have.
important.
Yeah,
So important.
she is my very much my best friend. It's as simple
Oh,
as that. We
oh,
Yeah,
Mags, look at you. That's cute.
she has saved me literally so many times in terms of like mental health, in terms of doubting myself, in terms of being my biggest kind of supporter. Yeah, I wouldn't be the Mags I am today without her.
That's just, honestly, that is just wonderful that you have someone that you can just be like, that's my rock. That's my
Mm-hmm.
person. That's just kind of, rain, hail, or shine. It's like that's the person I go to. So it's just is so lovely. Well, this has been a chat where I did not think this chat was going to go there, but that I guess is the kind of beauty of this show is that we
Mm-hmm.
just kind of just. I've had chats on here, Mags. Like I said to you, I've recorded. I'm probably going to push this release up, um, in the
The
grand scheme.
next, you absolute arsewap. Can't believe. Listen, guys, I'm the 15th person on his list. The
Yikes!
15th. I should have been. I mean, I should have been number two. Should have been number two,
Well,
really,
yeah,
because there is one person whose episode may or may not drop today as time of
time
recording.
recording. Very
Who's been
royal.
there. Yeah, but I should have been number two. God damn it!
It's just so weird to me how these conversations have gone where I didn't think they would want to go. Like, for example, the first episode that I released was with Spencer, and we talked about shows and we talked about all these things. And then I've had conversations with people like yourself, and we've gone the complete opposite. Both great chats, but just so deep into life. That's exactly what I wanted from this, is that sometimes it will be about wrestling. Sometimes it'll be about what food we like to eat. And then sometimes it'll literally be like, how was it, for you getting married, or what, all the stuff we just talked about. And it's just like this collaborative kind of thing where I always kind of I didn't want this to be the standard show, Mags, or it's just like, I ask you a question, you answer it, we debate. I wanted a show where it's like we're having a conversation where it's like you're asking me questions, and it's not just like this thing of like host guest. You know what I mean? Like I've always thrived on that in the sense of content of having a very free flowing, casual thing. But in my brain, I'm still kind of know where I'm going with the conversation and kind of where I want things to go in terms of what this show is. But it's just very free flowing is how I work best, because I can just do this all day. Like, it's not hard for me to talk. So,
And it's a great concept as well. Just sitting down, and I think you get a lot more honest and kind of raw answers when you don't know the path that you're taking. I mean, you can when you. I mean, I did Why We Watch for so many episodes, and you can kind of guard where the topic goes. With this kind of show, you have no control over it, and whilst you can certainly ask a question to set the ball rolling, you don't know what kind of twists and turns that's going to take. I mean, we've talked about kids and sexuality, and we started at wrestling. Do you know what I mean? It's just took a weird turn, and I absolutely love it. And
but that's a conversation, though, isn't it, Max? That's what this idea is. It's such a simple concept. I'm like, I don't know why more people aren't doing this. I guess it's that kind of. I think I did it for so long. This is what my thing was, is that it was a safety net of wrestling to go, oh, I'm just going to talk about this because that'll fill an hour of time, when it's just like, no, let's be a little vulnerable. I'm an open book. Like I said, because of the stuff that I did this year, it doesn't matter what people know about me, because who knows who's listening, who knows who's kind of going through something that they need a little bit of advice. And with the small followings that we both have, Mags, it's like, that's, if I can do anything in the time of content, if I can help somebody who
in my experience, is trying to come out or is struggling with their sexuality, if I can help one person, I feel like I've left my content kind of, what's the word? Not legacy, because it sounds very egotistical, but you know what I mean? Just that kind of line and be like, okay, that's what he did when he was here. And, you know, that's to me, that's all that is important. And content is whatever. But, I mean, I make fucking banging content as well, as you know, fucking like my fucking Twitch streams and all my videos are so fucking great. You know, I'm the fucking best. I've always said that this is what I said to Foul, and this is where it kind of all stemmed from, is that me and Foul both agree with it. We don't think we're the best at content, but what I really love about Foul, and I think what you'll probably agree with, Mags, is that his content is the best because of his personality. The context is almost irrelevant. And I feel like I humbly will brag about the fact that the context of what I'm talking about is almost like whatever. I shine in my personality, and that's where I bring out people's personalities, and I try to really own that, and I try to make that my own, because anyone can do a raw review. That's fine. Do that. You want to do that? That's great. But if you're boring, you could be talking about the most interesting thing in the world, but if you don't have personality, I'm not going to pay any attention, because it's just like what everyone else can do. Be different, be your own self, just be you and own it. I know it sounds really corny to say be yourself, but like there's only one version of you. Own it. Own all your flaws, own all your imperfections, everything that you do, and content will just kind of come a lot easier, because the context is almost like just the background of you as a person. And Mags, you do it well with personality, and Queen does it well. It's why I spend time with these people, is because I'm like, you could be talking about something I don't even know about or don't care about, but if your personality is shining through, there's nothing more special to me in the world than watching someone talk about something they're passionate about. Let that passion shine. But me and Foul talked about that, and I think, Mags, you'd probably agree that Foul does that best, if not the best. Like, he's one of the best at doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all subjectivity. It's
exactly
what I may like is something that you may not like, but for me it may be the best because I've attached myself emotionally to that creator. I get their mindset. I enjoy their content, and I've found that when with the way the way I consume content has evolved, that I've gone from the big kind of hitters in terms of content creators to the guys who have the same kind of mindset as me, and the same who I can get invested with on an emotional level. So yeah, I totally understand where you and Fowler are with that. I'll never say that I'm the best at something, but I have fun doing it, and I hope that comes through, and I hope that is what makes people gravitate towards my content. Just like with yours, we gravitate towards the content because of you, not because of what you're particularly talking about. You could be singing nursery rhymes, for instance.
That could be a good idea. I'm going to steal that. Just letting you know,
you can't, because Queenie requested me a nursery rhymes for my granddaughters, so she's got that on lock. But yeah, I mean, you could talk about absolutely anything. You could read the news, and I'd listen to you because it's you, rather than being interested in the actual news.
Oh God, wouldn't that just make everyone cry if you just read the news every day? That's just a fucking rabbit hole you don't want to go down. But hey, do you? Yeah, I agree with you completely, Mags. I've never said I'm the best at anything, but I'll do the best version of myself. And no one can do me better than me. You can take that sexually if you want to, but be my guest. But it's very much it's very much just like, that's just how we are as creators. And I think that kind of separates the pack of people just creating content and being actual content creators. I think there's a difference. So anyway, this has been a fantastic chat, Mags. I really do appreciate you coming on as my 15th guest. Wow. I'll probably bump this up because this is a very important conversation, and probably the most real conversation I've had in this whole time. So I guess shame on me for not doing this earlier. But anyway, the
Listen,
floor is yours, Max.
I only jest. I absolutely only
I
jest.
know.
I'm sure the people that you have had on this show are absolutely deserving of the chat.
Yeah.
I can't wait to listen to every episode.
That rock I interviewed was so much more important than you. That piece of dry wood, I was just like, oh yes, I'll talk to this one because this will be more interesting than that Mags guy. But
do you know, I don't know why I subject myself to this. Do you know,
no, honestly,
people watching and listening, don't unsubscribe from Josh because he's a full-on
smash that dislike button. Fucking block me on Twitter. Let's go.
In all seriousness, honestly, I'm so proud of the content you put out. I'm proud of you being the person that you are. Definitely go and give Josh a follow. Definitely go and enjoy his content. Share this out with the absolute world because he deserves all the listens and the views. This should be his career. It's as simple as that. He was born to do this. So
I'm trying, Max.
Help.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
I really
definitely go and help him do that.
Follow
at Giddy Robinson on Twitter because she's clearly more important than Josh.
She's right here. Come here, you little biatch. Here we go. She's making an appearance. Everyone like this video because now my cat. Oh, she's got the shit. Sorry. I woke her up. Oh God, she's gonna bite me later. Don't worry. They sit directly on my face. Yeah, she sits directly on my face at like 4 a.m. So I wake up and I can't breathe because she's like, "It's time for fucking breakfast, bitch." And she owns. Yeah, she's real little shit.
I think she's literally gone back to exactly the same position.
Has, because I'm so rude to her. You've probably seen her jump up. She hates my guts. Anyway, Mags, which show do you want to promote today? I mean, it's just like a lucky dip at this point, isn't it? You do have a lot of shows. I think you.
No, I actually don't know. I actually only produce 2 shows. I'm involved in other people's projects.
Maybe it's that.
Which, do you know? I love I'm stretching my time very, very thin, and it's getting to a point where I need to start maybe saying no. But I like helping other creators. That's the point. I like being when I first started creating, I reached out to a lot of people for advice, and I've always had that like pay it forward mentality. And if people want me to be involved in their show, I get such a buzz and a pride from it. So that's why I kind of like. I use up literally all of my spare time to help a lot of other creators, which is...
You do, though. Everyone, I'm going to put over... Mags has been putting over me this entire show, and I've just been letting it happen because, obviously. But, Mags is someone that will go out of his way to help you. He will guest on any person's show that asks, because if he can help in the slightest way, he will do it. And I think that's probably, if anything, I can look at you. When I talk about Foul having personality and being larger than life, you are the person that helps the most. You are the person that goes out of the way to give people advice and just to give them a little bit of a boost to say, hey, I'm listening, I'm watching and stuff like that. You're always the person to do that. I think everyone has their strengths within our little kind of family that we've kind of created, but yours is definitely that, is that you always go out of your way to help someone. You always guest on their show. You always just give them a few words of encouragement, or just literally post a thing of being like, I enjoyed your show, go listen, everybody. Like that goes so far. You know that it goes so far when you just take the 20 seconds it takes to tweet out, just say, hey, I listened to your show, it was great, everyone else go listen. Like that goes so far with a small creator who's desperately just trying to just get their voice out there and be like, listen to my stuff, or watch my whatever, or watch this 5-minute video I just made on YouTube, or come and hang out in my Twitch, or whatever it may be. You are the person that's best for that. You will go out of your way to do that with the little time that you leave for yourself. But it is a matter of fact of you are a person that has your own shows, and you are involved in a lot of people's shows and stuff like that. So, but it is very much a thing that you are great at, to be completely honest. So
I appreciate that. I mean, my content may not be the best quality, but I do like to kind of like help other people with their content. Anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying follow me on Twitter at DAJ Curry. It's the only social media I've got. And listen to any of the Absolute Trap podcasts that I put out or that I'm involved with. But definitely go and follow this guy. He absolutely deserves it way more than me. For me, it's fun, and it's something that I know is. I'm not looking for it to be a career. Where with Josh, it's something that absolutely should be a career because he's got all the tools to have this as a job. And he absolutely just needs that support and that boost to be able to do it. And I think everybody should be listening to his content.
Oh my God. It's like, so like,
I'm going to make you cry.
I'm past that now. Like I peaked back then and I was like, oh, it's going to fucking happen. I was ready to hit that stop button. I'm like, I'm not going to do fucking crocodile tears on here. Like,
and delete.
I was like, see you later. Bye. That's the one thing I've never done on camera is cry. I didn't even cry in my coming out videos. So, and I had to stop many times to be like, oh fuck, I'm going to cry. And I don't want to be that person. But congratulations, Mags, for anything in this. You nearly broke me. So, probably you'll be tipping your hat to that one. You will never let me live it down. As soon as this
I'm
drops,
going to change my profile name to I Made Josh Cry.
What you nearly did. I was just about there. I
may say made.
Yeah, honestly, I'd do the same thing because I'd just like, I'd own it as well. But anyway, everyone go and follow Mags. He's a very easy conversation for me to have. So it's just a good time. So I'll talk to you guys in my outro, but give a round of applause, everyone, for Mags because he was just wonderful and he's just great. So it's probably, it's nearly 1 p.m. your time, would it be right now? So probably your bedtime. Yep. So have some dinner, head to bed.
I've got to make some cocoa first.
Oh yeah, hot chocolate, like I'll get a warm drink and then get into bed and, you'll be out like a light by 3 p.m., Get your 14 hours sleep in. Because you need that, and then you can wake up and tackle the day.
I take back all the nice words that I said about Josh.
No, you can't. You're not allowed to. It's recorded now, so
he's a douchebag. He made me say this. He made me say it.
Yeah, I wrote him a script, and I said, "You fucking better put me over because if you don't, it's on. I'm gonna take you down." You've seen those Twitter arguments that people have. They're vicious. I'll get vicious. I can be a real bitch if I want to be. So, yeah, anyway, I genuinely hope you have a nice sleep.
Josh,
anyway, guys, we're going to, see, that's a perfect thing to go into my outro. I'll talk to you guys in a minute.
I did say to you guys that this chat would get fairly intense, and that it certainly did in some areas. I hope this is an okay kind of avenue that I go with this show as well, because it's not like I'm going to stop these conversations if they go to areas that are a bit like deep or whatever you want to say. So, yeah, it's a bit different, but that's the kind of vibe of this show. Sometimes it's hilarious, sometimes it's a little deep, sometimes it's, I don't know, about whatever. That's the kind of deal with this. So, hope you did enjoy this conversation with Mags. I certainly did. Very eye-opening conversation. Really fun though. But I hope everyone's having a lovely day, morning, night, whatever time it is, whenever you kind of watch this or listen to this. If you're not subscribed yet here on YouTube, please do that. Leave a subscribe, click that subscribe button, turn the bell on so you get notifications. Like, what do YouTubers say? I don't really know. Leave a like. I don't know. If you're listening onto this on the audio feed, I appreciate you as well. Pretty much across the board, you can catch this now on any major platforming for podcasts. So, yeah. Enjoy it. I'm loving the response to this show. It's certainly been one of the most fulfilling things in the episodes that I've done. And certainly people seem to be enjoying this concept and enjoying this. So I've got a lot recorded. So if you're ever wondering why the conversation may feel a little bit like out of date in some areas, like with what we're talking about, it's the reason I say at time of recording so much, because I record these so far in advance. I'm just trying to bulk record as many as I can before Christmas so I can keep kind of releasing and stuff like that. Over the holiday season when we don't really have a lot of time to chat and not really a lot of, people are working, people are with their families, and I don't want to bother people during the holiday season to be like, hey, do you want to take out an hour or so out of your day to chat with this person? So I am trying to bulk record, but I do appreciate all the love for this show because It's a lot of fun to do. It really is a lot of fun. So, hope you did enjoy this episode. We'll be back next Monday at 8 p.m. Australian Central Daylight Savings Time. Just put it into Google and you'll find the time of your choice. For most people in the States, it's when you wake up. It'll be on my YouTube and in audio feeds. And for you guys in the UK, it's pretty early in the morning. So, watch me with breakfast or something like that. I don't know. Just do a time conversion. Australian Central Daylight Time. ACDT. Yeah, I got that right. If you want to follow me on any social media, it's Josh Robinson 00. I do invite you to come and hang out with me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Josh Robinson 00. I got a lot of different things going on with Twitch, and I'm trying to stream at all these different kinds of times so people from all around the world can kind of catch me, as well as trying to do some more streams at nighttime, my time, because it naturally works a little bit better. So, but I know a lot of the world is asleep at my nighttime, so that's why I try to mix up with some morning stuff for me and just different times of the day so you can catch me. And I've got some games planned that aren't really, well, by the time you hear this, it might already be in kind of, we might already be going with it, but some non-wrestling stuff as well. I've got a lot planned. So I hope you come and hang out with me on Twitch. The vibes are pretty good. But until next week, until next Monday, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.